And this is a Pope spindle, and from my research is that they use a cylindrical roller bearing, not a ball bearing, but a roller bearing on the end of the spindle shaft, and the idea of the bearing is tapered. And they wedge it onto the shaft to get the right, I don't know if you'd use the term preload on a roller bearing, but get it stretched out to where there's no play between the races and the rollers. And I've heard it's very difficult to rebuild these. I think there's a couple companies that do. But I'm not too worried if the spindle's garbage. Pope, was it Excello, Stetco, and there's one other name that escapes me right now. They're all pretty much interchangeable between all these small surface grinders. There's a lot of cheap surface grinders out there, so you know, if this spindle's bad, I'm not going to spend a lot of money on it. If I can't rebuild it myself, I don't know that I want to pay somebody to do it. It might make more sense to buy another grinder for a couple $100 that has a different manufacturer spindle and swap them out instead of just throwing a lot of good money at this thing. But so far, everything's pretty good. I really won't know until I fire it up. Here's the temporary rotary phase converter I set up. I got about 100 feet of extension cord going down the hill from the substation. It's an old motor off my air compressor. It's got bad bearings in it. It's a 5-horse. Okay, so I rewired the spindle motor to 240 volts. That is the star winding on the motor. And I was ready for the worst news because the bearing sounded bad to me when I turned the wheel with my hand. But let's try it and see. Doesn't sound too bad. A little bit of high-pitched singing. About 80% of the noise I hear is from my phase converter. Huh. Well, now I'm thinking I may not have to replace the bearing. But what I might do, I'll look at the book, see if I figure out how it works. And spindle's arranged. If I can get in there and wash the outer bearing out and clean it out and repack it with grease, I might give that a try. Just quieter than a lot of grinders that I've done. Huh. Well, that's kind of good news. Next time I'm out here, I might bring the old magnetic chuck and throw it on there and do a few passes and see what it does. Well, I'm impressed. I rewired the control transformer for 240 volts. And you have to change the heaters in both starters after order some. But that could be good news. Pretty quiet. Turn it off. Coast down's not too bad. Let's see if the bearings are getting hot. Nope. In fact, it's cooler than in the building. Still trying to figure out what I got here. There's a hole here for an Allen wrench, and then there's 2 cap plugs here. And I looked on the parts list, and it looks like this Allen head tightens down to lock the cross feed. Yep. Okay, so I learned something new. So that locks the cross feed. And now it moves. Okay. So now I know one more thing about this grinder. I have no idea what these cap plugs are for. Let me get a pair of pliers. Okay. Let's see if we can see what's down in here. 1, 2. Well, there's 2 holes. I don't know what's down in there. Get a flashlight. Well, after looking down here, I can see the crossfeed screw and the half nut. This uses a half nut to engage the manual and the power feed. So this actually moves the half nut up and down to engage the screw. So with it up, the half nut causes the table to move. If I put it down here, it lowers the half nut, and that just spins free. So I don't know if these are to oil it or to inspect it or what. The book doesn't say anything about them that I can tell. I'm not sure what the metal position is. It says up its hand. And yeah. I don't know. Another mystery. There. Now they're covered. Okay. And if you're wondering about this, I put this magnetic chuck on here. It's an old one I had off a grinder. It's a 5x10, and this is a 6x18. And so this clamp would have come down on the precision surface here instead of out here. So I just put some paper towels under here. I put the chuck on and I ground it flat. I didn't bother grinding the bottoms or anything. I just wanted to see if this thing's okay. The chuck came out real good. It's real smooth. I got a couple little, I don't know if you'd quite call them burn marks, but a little discoloration, like 3 little spots right here. But I did use coolant. But it came out really, really nice. I'm happy with it. I did a couple test pieces, and I'm amazed at how accurate they came out. I'll show you those. Well, it's too hot to work outside, so I'm going to come in and take a grinder break and work on the Reid surface grinder. It's my junk pile. I got all my building materials out here in the shop. So I've got an old ancient Brown and Sharp chuck on there. That works good. I did some test runs and parts are coming out better than a 1/10 of a thousandth of an inch flatness over 5 inches. So that's pretty good news. So I think I'm going to try the hydraulics and see how that works. It looks like they drained them, and with the sight glasses. And the one thing I noticed is these drip a lot of oil. Is there's a ring here that seals the sight glass in, and it was loose, wasn't in finger tight. So we'll go tighten those up and dump some hydraulic oil in there and turn it on and see what happens. Well, let's see what's inside here. What's in the drawer? Well, no ruler. Those are TVs. It's heavy. tilts. Okay, let's get some locks. Well, you're looking there. Okay. Well, with the hydraulic pump there, you said before they had this foam stuffed in here all around it for some reason. And there's the motor. There's a big, ugly hydraulic valve. It says Vickers. Let's get a good look at it. Zoom in on that. 110 volt, 60 cycle. Detroit Deco. Not familiar with them. There, polyflow or nylon tube with swedge lock fittings, and then the pressure relief valve. Now the one drawing I have shows this pump as being a two-section pump with two independent gear rotors, one at 1 GPM and one at 4. The other thing that's kind of odd, so the gauge goes to 5,000 PSI. My experience in the manuals on the other ones, they only run around 200 or 250 PSI. You're not running a big loader or scraper or bulldozer with this. You just need enough force to move the table back and forth. And I couldn't see that need more than a couple hundred PSI even on a small cylinder. So. Okay, I took the filler cap off, and if I look down in there, it looks like I see oil, and I do. So it's not that this is empty, it's probably overfilled. It's got the oil's above the upper sight bars. Well, looks like you don't have to add oil. Let's start the spindle and check our phasing. Make sure we're doing it right. Start over. Okay. Try it again. Start my phase converter running the other direction. Let's try it. Spindle start. There we go. So this is in hand, this is in hand, this is feed. Yeah, let's try it, see what happens. pleasantly, it looks like everything is at least kind of working. I just shut the pump off, and I just noticed something now. If you look at that Lovejoy coupling, see the gap? That coupling is loose. I don't know if it's loose on the pump or the motor, but it's loose on one of them. But it's not too noisy. Motor's running cool. Pump is cooler than inside this building, which is 94 degrees. The gauge barely comes off the peg, which I think that's right. I bet that's the wrong gauge. Yeah, this is a pleasant surprise. I figured the hydraulic unit would be in a whole new project in itself. I'm sure there's probably still work to do on it, but wow, I'm happy. This is good news. Okay. Well, the Lovejoy coupling, I think I know which one's loose. It's got a set screw there on top of the key. Key's loose. Set screw's loose. So if that's all the problem that I'm going to have, that would be great news. Well, simple things seem to have a way of getting complicated. I turn this and it goes around and around and around and around. So the set screw, the hole for the set screw, the threads are stripped out. So I need to get a new coupling, or I could drill another hole in it, but I've got a broach. Broach is for the key, and I don't have a broach. So I could probably do it on the bridge part. Except I'll have to pull the motor to get this coupling off. So it doesn't look too bad. I can actually see 3 or 4 bolts. There's one back there that might be a little bit of a challenge, because taking the pump off, that's not going to be an option. I'm not going to do that. So I have to break hydraulic lines, and that just means hydraulic leaks. So motor it is. I was able to get the set screw out. It looks like it's a quarter 20. And it is stripped out, and I was able to push this coupling back past the end of the keyway. So I've got a little space down underneath there. I think I'm going to try to drill that out and retap that in place to a 5/16 fine thread. I think that's a plan. Got nothing to lose if it doesn't work. I'll have to take the coupling off and repair it or get a new one.